You can't give the MVP to a guy who's not even in the playoffs right now, right?
No, but I'm so happy for Damian Lillard because in the entire run of Golden State, I thought his career had been overshadowed, frankly. This guy is one of the elite shooters of the last decade. We've listed him as such, but I almost feel as though we've undersold him. His leadership's incredible. You know, he saved Terry Stotts' job for all intents and purposes the year they were swept out of the playoffs. There was a lot of conversation about whether or not Terry would keep his position. Damian basically goes in there, fights for his head coach, and they go to the Western Conference Finals. Beyond that, there was a time where a social media person on their staff went after a young man. It's like 16th on their roster, was never going to get any time. And Damian walked in the office and said, hey, he's one of us. We can't do that. I'm not surprised at the level of play. This guy puts in a ton of time. We talk about Logo Lillard. Well, he is consistently shooting those with his trainer, Phil Beckner, takes incredible pride in his offseason work. I had him last week. I said, what is this about? He said, I fine-tuned absolutely everything in the offseason. I fine-tuned my diet. I was much more efficient in the kinds of things I worked on. This is really a product of preparation, and I'm thrilled for a guy who's, I think, the best leader in the NBA.
Damian Lillard averaged 48 points per game over the last 6 games. That Stats Incredible is brought to you by My Computer Career, training for a better life. Doris, as we mentioned, tomorrow you're calling Heat Clippers. We just saw the Heat destroy the 76ers. They have their own issues going on. The Heat looking really good right now. If you had to go outside of Milwaukee, which has the 6.5 game lead on Toronto in the East, if you had to pick a team after Milwaukee that you think could be an actual, could give them a run and end up in the NBA championships out of the East, which team would it be?
I'd still lean a little bit more toward the Boston Celtics because of the top 3 scorers and the length and athleticism of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. We've talked a lot about Jason Tatum's offensive improvement in terms of his efficiency and his shot profile. What we haven't talked about is since the summertime and his time with USA Basketball, he has been committed defensively. Brad Stevens will tell you about it. The question is, and this is why the rumor about Clint Capella is intriguing, the platoon of Daniel Tice, Robert Williams has been injured and out, and he's probably a little bit too young, and Enes Kanter at the center spot has gotten them probably positioned as well as they can be. But as you know, Boston begins and ends things on the defensive end of the floor. So if you can add a defensive-minded center who's averaging, I think, 13.2 rebounds in Clint Capella, does that elevate you just slightly in your ability to guard Milwaukee? I'd lean just slightly toward them, though Miami is legit as well, guys.
ESPN NBA analyst Doris Burke with us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Pennzoil synthetic motor oils are made from natural gas, so the next time you get an oil change, ask for Pennzoil. The proof is in the Pennzoil. And Doris, I want to stick with Miami there. We just talked about it, Jimmy Butler against his former team, a team that he was the go-to option in the fourth quarter for during last year's run that landed them in the playoffs and deep with a shot to go on to a title. How much credit, or maybe what is the influence Jimmy Butler has brought to this Miami Heat team that has surpassed all expectations so far?
Yeah, I think he's significant, obviously, guys. There's just stretches in a game, and you saw it last night. He was joking. I felt like Luke out there, where for 3 and 4 minute stretches, if your offense is struggling or, they're 2 shooters, Hero can't make a shot, whatever the case may be, Jimmy Butler by himself can sustain an offense. On top of that, if you've watched them late game, as you might anticipate, they can put the ball in his hands. It's funny he's voted in as an all-star as a forward because the reality is he's been Miami's point guard all year. But you can put the ball in his hands late. He's going to make every right decision. And they do a great job defensively. They're playing as much zone as everybody in the league. They played it almost exclusively in the second half against Philadelphia, and not surprisingly, Philadelphia had no answer. Boy, I'll tell you what, for a team that thought they were going to be in the mix for an Eastern Conference championship, Philadelphia is hard to watch at times.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For highlights and analysis, check out the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, check out ESPN+.